I also want to just touch on briefly on koans. I know you've all heard of koans. They're well known in our world understanding. And koans originated in China. There was a period of China during the Tang Dynasty between roughly 600 and 900 that it was a very fertile time of Buddhism in the world. And there were a number of deeply realized Chan masters of that time. And most of them in these interactions with students were captured by other students and then put together in collections. And that became the koan collections that we use today. And there are a number of sort of main koan collections. The first collection one would work with is called the Muman Kan, and that starts with the koan Mu. And then there's the Blue Cliff Record, which is another koan collection. The Book of Equanimity is yet another one. And there may be one or two others I'm not remembering at this moment, but there's a series of collections one works through. If one does formal koan study, you do all the koans in all these collections. And there are also private collections. In the lineage I am, we have after one does the first koans, which would be Mu, what is your original face before your parents were born, and show me the sound of one hand clapping, are the three initial koans called the Dharmakaya koans. So they're opening to the absolute. And often after the initial koans, there's what's called checking questions. So like in the koan Mu, when I completed Mu with one of my teachers, I had between 10 and 20 checking questions, things like how old is Mu, that kind of thing. And so it just helps flesh out, broaden the realization. And then one moves through the different koan collections. But in the tradition I'm in, we do what's called the miscellaneous koans come after initial awakening, the Dharmakaya koans. There's 200 miscellaneous koans that one works with before going on to the collections. And then, as I mentioned, the last stage is working the precepts as koans, and that's the stage I'm at in Dharma transmission. I finished all the formal koan practice. I've done all the collections. And anyway, so this is done very purposefully. Some of the koans are really realization koans. They're opening awareness, consciousness to the absolute. Other koans are helping us see into, illuminate the functioning of awakening. So learning to speak about awakening, to speak from awakening, learning how to function from awakening as awakening. So some koans are doing very specific things. They're doing very specific applications or functions. So they're done in these collections for these reasons. There's really a methodology to it. And just to say, if one were to canvass those who had finished formal koan study, my understanding is a typical time frame would be 10 years from start to finish to do the formal koan study. For some people, it's less. For some people, it's a lot more. I know people who have I know one man who spent, I think, 10 years on Mu. So it really depends on the person, kind of how they move through it, their level of trust, a variety of things go into that.